lot of minutes, but in terms of impact compared to maybe the last round or earlier, it hasn't been the same. He spent a lot of time in his own end. What does he need to do to get back to what you need from him?
Well, I think you said it. I think we're spending obviously, especially in the third period, too much on our own end. And when you're defending all the time, you don't have juice to play offense. So when we do have it, I think we just have to possess it more, being willing to hold it more, willing to move our feet. And in the third period, we especially in the third, we weren't in that mode. We were in the mode of just flipping pucks out. So then what happens? A guy like Hughes doesn't get the puck that much.
But from his perspective, he's used to carrying it and taking it out. I mean, does he need to do something differently, or is it the same as what everyone else has got to?
Well, I think, no, I don't think it's too much. I like to, maybe move the puck a little quicker than a give and go and then get it later. Sometimes you're playing teams, they're going to shadow you so much that you don't have time and space. So sometimes if you move the puck, play more of a give and go game, that might help him.
Do you see that he's being shadowed quite a bit?
Well, I mean, obviously, he's, one of the strategies, they're going to finish their checks on him. So, that's why, we have to make sure the other guys hold up. Other guys, if they have the puck, hold the puck, skate to options, and then that might, if they want to double up, then Hughes should be open. So I think it's a combination of a lot of little things.
How much of a playoff series is about adjusting game to game?
Yeah, I think it's important. I think the coaches, that's why you see coaches after games talk about adjustments. Obviously, we have to adjust a little bit more on D-zone coverage. And it's not so much for me adjusting on positions or system. It's a little bit more of a tenacity, a little bit more of a, not disrespect. I mean, we respect this team. They're great players, but I think we're respecting them too much. We're coming off our checks. We were stick checking too much last night. And that was kind of the disappointing thing for me. We lose in overtime. It's 1-1 in a series. We're second round. How many playoff games we played? 8. You got to make sure that's sustainable. We need some players they got to dig in for us. You have to dig in if you want to win.
You don't get the matchup that you want necessarily, but if you get different guys against McDavid, does that possibly free up Besser and Miller to be your best offensive players like they've been?
Well, sure, but you got to have the puck though. Yeah, of course. They're going to control some over the matchups, but there's certain guys I got to make sure I get on the ice against them. We're not always going to get it, and if we have other guys against them, they have to play good defense, and they got to be able to hold on to pucks. That's really what it comes down to. And then when you get the puck, make some plays.
Are there times like last night? I mean, that looked to be about as good as McDavid could be, and Draisaitl as well. But are there times, do you think, when they're going like that, defending players are so terrified of getting beaten or whatever that they just kind of collapse and let them have space?
Well, that's experience. I think there's 2-3 shifts where, no disrespect to McDavid and Draisaitl, they were unreal, that they were all in on one play. We make one pass, we have a 4-on-2, and we don't execute twice. And then we had an opportunity on a 4-on-3 to make a play against a tired defense. They were tired, and we don't execute. That's 3 plays. If you give McDavid and Draisaitl a 4-on-2, or you give them a 4-on-3, they're going to make you pay. We have to have the same attitude. Obviously, we don't have the talent level of those 2 guys, but I still think we have to have the, I guess, just that willingness to like. Don't play. It's not playing scared. We're not scared. It's just being able to make a play under pressure. It's there. We just got to make these plays.
They gave you a different look last night. It seemed like you maybe tried to match a little bit by putting the Lotto line together. What did you think of that trio? Is there any temptation to kind of load up your top of the lineup when they're doing that?
We did last night.
Sorry, I mean going forward.
Well, no. We're successful doing it this way, and I've tried the Lotto line, whatever you guys want to call it. I've tried it. So it's, the only reason I put them together, or I'll put Lindy, is we're up 3-2 is draws. If a center gets kicked out, we have another centerman. So that's what you usually do when the games are tight in the third. But I'm not against using them, but if we use them, we gotta get some production out of it.
Petey scored last night, which was great for him. He was better in game 1 as well. That might have been his best game of the playoffs. But how much does he need more from Höglander and Mikheyev?
Yeah, he needs more. Yeah, I mean, he needs, he needs, I think for me, Hoggy is really, we need more from Hoggy. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with him right now, if we're going to make some lineup changes, because, I didn't like his game yesterday. And then, we got to figure a few things out here. But that's it doesn't, it really, honestly, it's individual based. When you have the puck, you got to move your feet. You got to be willing to make plays. That's really what it comes down to. You can shuffle the deck chairs. I know everybody likes switching this, but if you're not willing to move your feet, and I'm not saying Petey's not doing that. I'm saying in general, it doesn't matter who you play with.
If you sit out Mills, if you sit out Hoggs, is Amon the option, or is Potts
Yeah.
still an option?
There's a bunch of guys an option right now. Ahmed could be an option. Carlson, who's going to be coming with us, might be an option. We're going to need, we might need some lineup changes, and we'll talk to the coaches tonight, and we might have some changes.
How about Cole? He was so good in the National Series.
Yeah.
He's an experienced piece for you, but both of these games, not just the tough play in overtime, but both of these games, he's had some moments that weren't necessarily as good. Is Juleson a possibility there? Are you going to?
Juleson's a possibility too. Yes, he is. Might have to get him in line too. I'm not saying for Kohler. I mean, Kohler's had a couple of tough games in a sense, but he's such a big part. He's played a lot of playoff games. So when you play a lot of playoff games, there's going to be some times doesn't go your way. But he's a warrior. He always bounces back.
How about Myers? He missed a period of time. I mean, is he going to be okay?
I don't know. We'll have to check, see how he's feeling today. But I haven't talked to anybody, the therapist yet.
Already done enough to stay in?
I think he played really well. Yeah, I think he's played really well. He looks big out there for me. He really does.
Was that one of the positives yesterday? Like game 2 compared to game 1. The game 1 didn't look like Arturs, and game 2 to get back to sort of looking more like the goalie we saw in round 1.
Well, that's a sign of a good goalie. Is a guy that, maybe was just okay, whatever, however you want to say it. I don't think he was bad game 1 at all. I just think he was just, if you want to say he was good to okay. But the next game he really played well. So I think that's a sign of a good goaltender, and a sign of a guy that's, it's taking the pressure as it comes.
We saw a dozen players get called up from Abbotsford to
Yeah.
kind of be around the team. Wondering how you and your staff are going to work with these guys and what they have to gain in this little playoff run.
Well, it's good for them. I get to practice. There's some guys are practicing today. Yogi's out there putting them through some NHL kind of pace. Like I said, some guys got to be ready. You could be in the lineup very quickly. Like I said, from my experience, teams that go far, you sometimes go deep into your American League team, and I'm not afraid to use a couple of those guys if we have to use them.
Or just Smith and Denko doing?
Denver has been skating more and more, and progressing a little bit more. And Smitty, like I said, Smitty's ready to go when he's ready to go. He looks good in practice too.
Rick, you guys have been a good road team
Yeah.
all year. What goes into that, and are you just kind of hammering that home to your players as you go out on this road trip here? We've been a good road team all year long.
Yeah, I think we've built a little bit of credibility this year with our team that we are a good road team. You're going to go into a situation where it's loud building again. We went to Nashville. That was a loud building. We overcame some stuff, and I thought we played a good road game. And obviously the last game, it's just the same mentality. There's not a lot that you want to change, to be honest with you, just because you're on the road, other than the fact that they're going to have last change. And when you're playing against one of the two best players in the league, you have to manage your ice. You got to manage the puck, and you got to manage, I guess, the time and space against this team. So you need all hands on deck, because there might be a guy that's out there that, I'm not saying you don't want him to be out there, but a guy that you probably won't play against him, that has to be able to defend in certain situations. You can't give in.
Is there an emphasis on shorter shifts when you're on the road?
Yes, shorter shifts and good changes. I think changes are big, and I think that's something that even coming off harder, all that sort of stuff comes into play.
Do you talk to, I can't remember, do you talk to Brad Watson, or does just?
I've talked to Brad every day. Not every day, every game day.
Did you talk to him about some of the things that you
I'll
didn't
talk to
like
him
last night?
tomorrow. We'll talk. You do a game day, and he's been excellent. I remember him reffing against me, and I think his communication is outstanding.
Did you go back and look some more at some of those things? things?
Yeah, I'm not going to nitpick with the hook and holds and stuff. I don't care about that. So I mean, obviously the slew foots and the stick. I mean, there's 4 or 5 stuff that that you'd like to see, but like I said, I'm not going to complain about the refs. And then if they don't see it, they don't see it. I don't know what they're seeing. If they don't see it, they don't see it. What am I going to argue with the guy? So we'll see how that goes. I just definitely there's 2 slew foots on Kane, and those can't be missed.
Was the one on Hughes and one on Zadorov? Or?
Yeah, they're
You guys, I don't know that McDavid or Draisaitl could dominate more than they did in the
Yeah.
third period last night. And, it was pretty tilted at that point, and yet the game goes into overtime. Is there something to be taken from that?
Well, yes, both ways. Where you could say, man, we're there, right there. Maybe we get the lucky bounce for an overtime, but we're here. We're so close that you can't give in. I thought the third period we just backed off, completely backed off, uncharacteristic on some players. I thought we stick checked. That's the disappointment for me, is that when you're that close, you have to find it inside you. There's more in there, and we got to find it. And I thought in the third I don't think we gave in. I just think we played it too safe.